Kept you waiting, huh? I've been living off the land for a while in preparation for the new Metal Gear Solid remake, but now I don't know how to get back home. I did bring my Steam Deck with me, so I was at least able to play the game. Konami has finally released the long-awaited Metal Gear Solid Delta, a remake of a beloved game, and I, for one, don't really get it. We've been in the age of remakes for about a decade now, and we've seen a range of different approaches in how these remakes are implemented. Some remakes greatly expand and/or alter the source material to modernize the original game. Some are more faithful, but still change things up enough to create a unique experience, and others try to recreate the original game as accurately as possible. Metal Gear Solid Delta falls into this last category, and I think any of these approaches can work depending on the game, but to me, Snake Eater needed something more than a graphical upgrade. And I haven't really been dying to see this game with improved graphics. Sure, the original is 2 decades old now, but Kojima Productions has always been on the cutting edge of visuals, so it's hardly an eyesore. As a longtime fan, I would have really liked to see some structural changes. Something in the vein of Dead Space or one of the Resident Evil remakes. I would have loved to see some remixed areas or some fun new camera angles and cutscenes. Hell, throw a new mechanic or two in there, or at least get rid of the damn loading screens. I do appreciate the things they did add, like crouch walking, the camo quick swap menu, and the body scarring, but the overall experience is basically identical to the original. For some games, it makes more sense to take this approach, like Panzer Dragoon. The first 2 Panzer Dragoon games, and Orta, are very tightly constructed and orchestrated experiences. Every moment is carefully calculated by the original developers, so it would make sense for the remake developers to not want to deviate from the original structure. But Snake Eater, although very linear, is not so tightly constrained, and its biggest draw is not its visuals, though they were great for 2004. The draw is the journey. It's the marriage of the storytelling and the gameplay. It's the exploration, digging into all the game's systems, finding goofy ways to take out your opponents, and it's the over-the-top action sequences, the campy dialogue, and the sexual tension between Snake and Ocelot. And I wish the remake devs had played around with these things. As good as this game is, I've played it dozens of times already. If I want to have the exact experience of the original, well, the original still exists. I would rather play a remake that tries something new, even if I don't think it succeeds, than just play the same game again with more polygons and ray-traced lighting, especially if it runs this poorly. I like to think I've got a pretty decent rig, but even so, I was pretty unimpressed with the performance. Normally, I can run just about any game at max settings and hit 60 frames per second, no problem. But even with an upscaler, which is forced, I'm sitting in the mid-40s with very frequent dips. Honestly, I just capped it at 30 FPS to try to keep things consistent, but I still ran into stutters and frame drops on a semi-regular basis. And there's no ultra-wide support. Really? In the year of our Lord 2025? That's like standard in remakes at this point. I also had 2 crashes within 20 minutes of booting it up, though admittedly no crashes after that. But I dread to think what this runs like on mid or lower end hardware. But let's talk a little gameplay. The general movement and action in this game leans heavily toward the Phantom Pain, which is cool and all, but it kinda gets in its own way sometimes. Specifically, turning Snake in this game can sometimes be a frustrating experience, and it really just comes down to his turning radius. It's too large, and it can get you into trouble sometimes. Likewise, the transitions between crouching, crawling, and standing are also slightly too lengthy, which can lead to confusion as to what you're doing and what you're about to do in the heat of battle. Then there's the timing on things like CQC moves and equipping weapons that kept throwing me off. None of these things make the game unpleasant to play necessarily, but they add up to sour the experience a little over time. Even the camera's kinda rough. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something a little janky about the over-the-shoulder camera in the remake, especially in tight spaces. Granted, Kojima Productions tend to have really good cameras in their games, but it would be nice if the remake's camera could be as good as the one from 20 years ago.
I think the fixed camera angles work about how they should, but I didn't use it much because for some reason, rather than being able to switch between camera styles with the click of a button, like in the original Subsistence release, Delta requires a full checkpoint reset to change camera modes. But gameplay tweaks, wonky cameras, and poor performance aside, it's Metal Gear Solid 3. I suppose if you've never played it and you've got a rig to run it somewhat decently, it's not a bad way to experience this Kojima classic. But if you've played this game as much as I have, there's really not much to chew on, with one exception. In the PS2 versions of Snake Eater, there's a certain point in the game when you can save, quit, and reload into a demo for a different game called Guy Savage, which was ultimately canceled. It was a little basic, but it was a neat distraction. But for whatever reason, this is where the remake devs decided to swing for the fences. They totally reimagined this sequence with a new character model, new enemies, a new color palette, and a revamped moveset that's pretty sweet. They even put cutscenes in this thing. The execution of the combat is pretty good too. Maybe it wouldn't hold up to scrutiny over the course of an entire game, but as a way to kill a few minutes, it's pretty damn fun, which is probably why they put it right on the front page of the menu once you've beaten the game. It's flashy, it feels good, and it puts a fun twist on something familiar. And come to find out, this part was actually developed by Platinum. Go figure. Another lost mode they brought back is Snake vs. Monkey, and it's alright. It wasn't really amazing to begin with. It seems they added some new poses for when you catch the monkeys, along with a couple small tweaks here and there, but for the most part it's pretty similar to the original. They're also bringing back the multiplayer, but they haven't released it yet because they didn't want the microtransactions they're putting in to affect initial sales. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe Konami won't drown this thing in microtransactions. Time will tell. For now, Delta kind of feels like a novelty. If you haven't played the original, I suppose this is a decent way to get introduced to the series, but if you have played it, I don't know if I would really recommend it unless you just have some money burning a hole in your pocket. The original may be a little clunkier and have fewer polygons, but otherwise, it's the same experience. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, do me a favor and like this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and check out my Patreon or become a channel member if you want to support me directly. Lastly, share the video with a friend if you really liked it. That's a big help for me. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one.